let's not give up. It's very easy to be nihilistic about everything that's going on. It's obvious to me looking around that a lot of infrastructure has been put in place already. A lot of people are just going through the motions without thinking about anything. A new hoop to jump through, they will just jump through it because they perceive that they have to. And in many cases, there's a threat of violence behind their decision to go ahead and jump through the hoop. You don't jump through the hoop, you don't have your driver's license, which means a cop will hassle you. You don't jump through the hoop, you won't have a job, right? Like, there are real consequences to not jumping through some of the hoops that have been put in this circus for you to jump through. You'll get whipped if you don't jump through the hoops. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't see the hoops, or rather, they see the hoops, but they don't see the whip consciously. They know it's there. It's there as an anxiety. They know they need to do it, but somehow people have managed to not come down on, this is wrong, then I have to do this. They know they have to do it. Practically, yes, we've got to do it because otherwise we'll get hurt. That's the thinking of that. They know it, but they know it like a slave knows if they don't do what they're told, the master's going to get them whipped. They're going to have them whipped. The slave driver is going to whip them. And they know that that's the natural consequence of pushing back. And in the slave mind, they know that they're a slave and that that's the consequence, and that, well, I better do it, otherwise I'll get whipped. And they don't question the morality of the scaffolding that is the plantation erected around them. They don't question it. People in just about every society on this planet are in exactly the same boat. We've got people who believe that they have a right to own other people, or at least own the product of their labor, right? They've got the right to just take what they want. They voted on this percentage this year, so it's this percentage. Next year they might vote on a higher percentage, and you're just going to have to pay it. That's the way that our system works. And people don't want to see it for what it is. It scares them when people talk about it plainly. They think that the people then notice that, hey, you know, there's violence behind this system. That's the only reason everyone is complying with it. The people that recognize that are seen as crazy extremists for having noticed. You know, this is the the boy in the crowd saying, hey, that emperor over there, he's naked and he's paying these thugs to whip you if you notice. And everyone's saying, shut up, kid, you're going to get us whipped. Right? It's a crazy society we're living in. And most people seem to think it's normal. And I don't know what to do about the fact that most people seem to have their head up their rear ends. I don't know what to do with that, because you can't speak to them plainly. It hurts their brains. They don't want to look at it. They've got other things going on in their life. Bless them, you know, they're on the grind. They know that if they don't do the stuff they need to do, they're going to get whipped in one form, shape, fashion, or circumstance, right? They are understandably not wanting to deal with the problem, but in not wanting to deal with the problem, they don't even want to see it. Because if they see it, they might have to deal with it. They don't want to know about it. Ignorance is bliss. That's where people are. It's pathetic. It's sad. We are shells of our former selves, ancestrally speaking. We had people with far more chutzpah and guts and balls not very long ago. Right now, though, what we've got is a bunch of cowards. We have a bunch of cowards. People who can't tell right from wrong, because if they did, they might have to tell someone something uncomfortable, or say no to something, or someone who they don't feel they can say no to. We're stuck in a cowardly society. It's everywhere. even, red states are totally different. No, they aren't. There are cameras everywhere in red states. There are bureaucracies everywhere in red states. When we went to go get our vehicles transferred in Florida, we went to the county courthouse. I actually really appreciated that experience because you can see in the county courthouse in any of these towns in northern Florida is where we were. It's a building with obviously a courthouse. It's got the tax assessor's office in it. It's got the building department in it. It's got the vehicle licensing and tax collection in it. It's got your driver's license in it. All of these things that are interfaces with the government are in that building. And when you do business in one office, you have to go pay the person, the branch of government that you need to pay in order to get that done. If you are going to the dump, you pay the building department. Why do you pay the building department? Because the building department is going to see if you're dumping a lot of household debris. So you're going to pay that building department that amount. Why? Because the construction debris, they're keeping track of whether or not you're building on your land by how much you're getting rid of, right? They want to know. You go and get your license and registration and your driver's license and stuff. You don't go to the DMV. You go to the tax collector because that's a tax. It's in your face. This is what you're paying to the government for the privilege of using your property. That's what it is. It's far plainer. In California, where I come from, you've got all these compartmentalized institutions that can, the people working for them, the functionaries that work in there, can fool themselves into thinking, well, oh no, this isn't taxation, this is just fees, this is just what you do to drive a car here, because we've got to do all this stuff. And they're compartmentalized idiots. They have no idea that what they're doing is stealing from people, because they're so removed from it. It allows people to lie to themselves when you compartmentalize them like this. It's crazy. I don't know what to do about it other than talk to people about how these systems work. And I can't do anything with that if they can't see the harm in the existence of the system in the first place. Most people see the silver lining. People are hardwired to look at the silver lining because we are masters at coping. We cope with adversity. We often don't deal with it. We'd rather cope and be nice and get along and go with the flow and not rock the boat rather than be awkward. We'd rather just go with it than challenge something that is clearly not okay. Clearly not okay. We'd rather not make waves. COVID taught us that. That crap with COVID. If you didn't know it before COVID, during COVID and after COVID, you know that the lion's share of humanity would much rather go with the flow than challenge authority. It doesn't matter what side you were on in COVID, you know that it was better in many people's minds to just go with the flow than to buck the system. Whether you agreed with what was going on or disagreed with it, you knew that you just needed to comply and then you would get hassled less. That was the nature of that event. It was a compliance test that frankly too many people failed miserably, and quite a lot of people failed even though they thought they were awake to what was going on. They were not. They found their exemption. They crossed their fingers. They submitted their paperwork. Their overmaster told them, oh yeah, we'll accept that today. And so they think they won and that they resisted. They didn't do any of that. It's a hard truth for people is that those people who sought exemption were supporting the system that had the mandate. They just felt that, they had a good reason for not having to go along with the mandate, and so they submitted their exemption, and their exemption was accepted by the system, the new system, the brand new system, the brand new hoop that you had to jump through, that they created out of thin freaking air. You just jumped through it in order to not rock the boat. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. They think that they fought the system. They think that they resisted. Well, I'm happy that you didn't have to get the thing in your arm. I'm happy you didn't have to wear that thing on your face much, maybe, right? But mostly you complied with the system, because the system said you can do this except for this. And so you took the except for that the system provided you. You use the system's system. Do you see how that works? We have a problem in the human family that is a soul problem. The soul problem is our human souls, the people navigating these meat suits, our souls have forgotten that they have the right to exist without coercion. And what does it mean to have a right to exist without coercion? It means that you can tell people who are trying to coerce you to go pound sand. But too many people can't do that. Too many people are weak and dependent on the system. Too many people have been living beyond their means on credit, and that includes your mortgage. Honestly, that includes your rent, because it's a promise to pay in the future. You are borrowing property from someone you have to pay. That's where we are right now. George Carlin once said, we have owners. I think that's too much of a capitulation, but it's certainly what a lot of people think, is that they own you. And the truth of the matter is, if you don't resist substantively, if you don't say no, fuck no, definitively, they do own your ass. You jump through the hoop, they owned you. Next time, they might make the hoop a little higher. You're going to jump for that one too? They own you. Right? It's our compliance with bullshit that is the problem. Don't comply. Now, don't do it alone. Right? We can't do it alone. It's impossible alone. I've been the lone dissenter. It doesn't work out well for the lone dissenter. Why? Because the system sees someone who genuinely rejects the system as not compatible with the system. That's why treason is a capital offense. That's why insubordination sounds so nasty when it comes from someone who thinks that they're better than you. That's why contempt of court is an indefinite jail sentence until you kowtow to the judge. The system doesn't like dissent from the system. The system doesn't like people who opt out of the system. It can't compute, and therefore it crushes. It smashes the obstacle to the smooth functioning of the system. So don't do it alone. Find your people locally. Find your people locally. Talk in person, not using the systems. Figure out alternatives. Figure out what you can resist. You might need to use the system in order to get the system to stop. you might have to go to the city council and get them to stop doing something they should not be doing. I just saw success in Arizona. Someone got rid of, I think it was Sedona, Arizona, got the city council to tell the cops to stop using the flock cameras. That's a good thing. I saw somewhere some water systems in Southern California are having to, or are at least debating, getting rid of the fluoride in the water because people are organizing down there. It doesn't happen when one person does it. It happens when you get together with other people, because it's safer to do it in numbers. As much as I hate herd mentality, I do acknowledge that having numbers helps a lot. The guys playing whack-a-mole only have so many clubs to hit you with. Unfortunately, and you got to wake up to this, they're making clubs that they can hit many people with at once. It's all the digital stuff. It's freezing bank accounts. It's denying access to things. That infrastructure is in place. The only thing missing is the quote-unquote legal right to use it. All right? They've already got some of that in place. They're going to do more of it. And if you do anything they don't like enough that they will call it terrorism, they don't have to use their legal system anyway. They just call you a terrorist, get you put on a watch list, do all kinds of stuff to you. You're done. You're frozen. Don't do it alone. Figure out how to do it with other people so that you don't get targeted individually. We are long past humped, and our kids are going to be screwed if we can't figure out how to move forward better than we have so far. It's not little exemptions that only save your own butt temporarily. That's not the way forward. The way forward involves more action.